Good afternoon, guys and gals. We are on video 9 of the 292 1970 Chevy Straight 6 rebuild. As you can see, the cylinder head is now on there. The last video I was talking about putting the head gasket on and different things that was related to that were key things that you have to remember when building this type of engine, or any engine actually. But this particular vintage engine is kind of what we're going to be doting on different things. There's some subtle differences with the more late model stuff, but anyhow, we have the lifters in, and the push rods in, the rockers installed, and the lock nuts. Now, of course, when installing the lifters, you want to use either a engine assembly lube such as this. We've talked about this already. It has moly graphite, lithium base. It's a real good engine assembly lube. And I always like to use the STP oil treatment. I call it Motor Honey. And anyhow, been soaking the oil pump, getting ready to put that on here after we get done adjusting the valves. But this video today is all about adjusting the valves. I'm not going to show all of them being adjusted. I'm just going to show two. So what I do, I start off with a way to turn the crankshaft. There's all sorts of different ways of doing this. I've been taught several by other master mechanics as far as I'm concerned. The two guys that trained me initially, and then another shop owner that I worked for a few years after that. And I had my way, of course, and modified some of their ways to make it my way. But you can look in the book. There's always a procedure for this. But my procedure seems to work on just about any engine. This is a hydraulic lifter, flat tappet setup, adjustable rockers. And I will show you how to do this. And it pretty much works on any engine of this type, this vintage hydraulic lifter, flat tappet, push rod setup. So let me see if I can set this phone in the exhaust pipe bender and get it to point where we need it to point. And hopefully that's it. And first thing we do, we turn over the engine until one of these, either the intake or the exhaust lifter, comes up. And it looks like we're coming off of top dead center, so it's going to be the exhaust. So that one started coming up, the exhaust lifter, so that means it's time to adjust this one. And I will show you how it's done. And what you want to do, you want to adjust that push rod into this lifter to where it's, I call it zero. Of course, with my big hand here, you can't really see. But what I do, I hold the push rod down at the base, and I wait till it seats against the lifter, and I go side to side with the push rod, and the side to side movement will slow down as you're cranking it down. I used to pump up lifters. I was taught to pump up lifters with an oil can, but now I just soak them for days before I put them in. I don't pump them up anymore. They say it can cause lifter failure. You be your own judge on that. I have my doubts on that because I've never really had a lifter failure. I've had some over the years, especially since the Chinese been making them, that there'd be one here and there that would tick when you first start the engine, not pump up good. Sometimes they fix themselves, sometimes they don't. I've had a couple of them, but I don't know. But okay, with the push rod is in the lifter, in the pocket of the lifter, and it's just starting to make contact, and we're tightening it down now, and you tighten it down to zero, and when you stop moving the push rod back and forth laterally, then that's zero. And then after that, on most small block Chevys, straight sixes, and big blocks, I usually turn, once it's at 0, I'll turn it another half turn. Some guys go 3/4 of a turn. And I used to do that, but I think one time I had a deal about 20 years ago that I thought that the valve was floating on one. And I went back, readjusted them, and I went back to half turn, and the problem went away. So I usually just go half nowadays. If something happens, you put it together, start it up, and you have a tick or something, pull the valve cover back off and rerun the valve adjustment again. But that's what you do on that. And typically when you adjust the valves, about the same number of threads are always showing on the top of every one, as long as you've had a good valve job done with new seats, new valves. Everything will look really consistent up here at the top. So anyhow, let's go ahead and rotate this engine until the intake lifter starts to come up. And notice the exhaust went down. And we'll be coming back here, coming up with the intake in just a bit. Here we go. We're coming up with the intake. Now let's adjust the exhaust. This way you guys can see twice how this is done. I probably should have went ahead and had these nuts run down a little bit to speed things up where the video is not lagging. But anyhow, you might be able, if I move my hand down, you might be able to kind of see better what is going on. I get a tripod at some point. Things I can point the camera a little bit better, and things will be a little bit better on these videos. But okay, we still got lateral movement, about 1/4 of an inch. We're down about 1/8 of an inch now. We're down about 1/16 of an inch right here. And we're almost in the pocket here. And just a little bit more. And it went away. Okay, so that's 0. So now I usually just clock it, the wrench to the engine or perpendicular to the engine, and then just turn it another half turn. And as you see, I haven't run these before or anything, and look at the threads. See what I mean? Typically, rule of thumb is, if things are adjusted right, you'll see about the same number of threads of all of them. If you have one down more than the other, you need to look at that a little bit closer, investigate it. Maybe the seat had been cut more. Maybe the valve seat, that is, or the valve been trimmed more than what should have been, or a thicker valve or something. Something could be up, so always pay attention to that and beware. Okay. I hope this video turned out. I will review it here, and if not, I'll have to do it again on another one. But we'll run all of these valves. We'll put side covers on. We'll put the valve cover on. Then we're going to roll the engine and put the oil pump in. And I might do one more video of the sheet metal being put on, and a couple tricks to making sure these Chevys don't leak oil after you seal them up. Okay? Thank you for tuning in and watching.